Okay, we're live.
Yay! It's only
Wow.
taken us a little around the blockness to become live, but hey, it is Broadcast Team Alpha. It is the Sunday show on Wednesday night. We've been having some technical contrasts that our genius producer Tom has been working us through, and we just would like to invite you to connect with us. Connect with us on broadcastteamalpha.com. Please subscribe to our YouTube page and come see us on Facebook and all that good stuff. So, we are Broadcast Team Alpha, and I am accompanied by my co host Aage Nost and Tom Schaefer. Hey, guys. Yeah, live long and prosper. So we discuss the cutting edge possibilities while exploring the quantum possibilities. And tonight is no different. We're going to be talking about things like disclosure. You may have heard that word. Some people think that disclosure has to do with just the political stage or the cabal or the Illuminati, but there's a whole lot of other disclosure that's going on. We're going to be talking about awakening. We're going to be talking about truth in plain sight. Like, if disclosure is really happening, how are we missing it? How are we missing it? And of course, we are going to review our sci fi movie of the week. Really cool movie. Tom, you want to tell us a little bit about the movie without spoiler alert?
Well, it's on our broadcast poster. So hang on, let me switch my camera here. So yeah, we are going to be talking about They Live tonight, and about
Mm-hmm.
disclosure in plain sight. And so here's a movie that came out 30, was it 31 years ago? Augie, is that what we came up with?
Yes,
31, yeah, 30,
1988.
1988. John Carpenter comes out with this B flick called They Live, which has pretty much become required reading for anybody in the truther community, that talks about so many topics and so many things that you may have think are brand new. He was talking about 31 years ago in this movie about the creation of a slave class on a treadmill, generating money for an unseen cabal, which in his movie is ETs that have invaded Earth and are beaming a signal to keep people asleep, to let them keep them obeying and not being and being compliant.
Right, right. And the truth was we might as well do the movie because this is so good, right? The truth was in plain sight. So, Roddy Piper arrives into town, right? And, I can't help but wonder where he came from, right? He gets off the bus. He's got a wedding ring on. I'm like, oh, what's the backstory there? But we never find out. But he arrives in town and ends up going to a homeless camp, a homeless shelter that's connected to the church. Tom?
Right, because he's got a job at a construction site, and of course now you're new in town. All you got on is a backpack. Where are you going to stay? So
Exactly.
if a guy that he meets on the job uh, directs him to this, he wants to go somewhere else, but he decides to basically camp out at the homeless site. And this homeless encampment is right across the street from this church that looks like a church, but is really not a church. It's an underground movement that's trying to awaken people.
Awaken. Dun 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 dun. So they have the sunglasses, right, that they're manufacturing there or distributing, and the sunglasses will allow you to see the truth. So while we're walking around asleep, right, or in this hypnosis, we don't see that the billboards actually say obey, or what was that one commercial they had on TV? Do something and reproduce, right?
Oh,
They
marry and
were giving
yeah, it was all marry and reproduce. And
marry and reproduce.
well, his moment of awakening was when he put the sunglasses on, and he's like, he doesn't understand at first. Which actually, the way the movie's directed, it's very well. It's very plausible. He
Mhm.
stumbles. He wants to see what's going on. He suspects something's going on in this church. It's kind of like something. His spidey senses are tingling. Something's going on over here at this church. What's going on? So he goes and he's snooping around. He sees what boxes of sunglasses. What is this all about? And then he sees this table with chemistry of what's going on here. And so he stumbles into this whole thing and winds up watching the police raid the homeless camp. They run everybody out, And he goes back into the church after it's been raided, and he finds a secret kind of a hidden panel that he kind of discovered the day before, and he sees more boxes of these sunglasses, and he grabs one. And he winds up downtown,
Dun, dun, dun.
and he's like, what's the deal
Yeah.
with these glasses? And he puts the glasses on, and he's awakened to the
Right.
reality. You know?
Right. So he's seeing people who, when you don't have the glasses on, they look like your coworker or the lady in the grocery store, but they're really like zombified, right?
The ghouls, yeah, the ghouls.
Yeah, that's amazing. That was so good. That was so good.
That appears to me like the aliens has actually taken the place of people that they knew. So the alien may have replaced the real person and look just like them, so you'll never know the difference.
Right. Yeah.
Clones.
Yeah.
And everywhere around them, they see placards and it says obey, they get consumed, they got all kinds of posters around them. So this is absorbed subliminally. And when you're without the glasses, everything looks normal. But when you put the glasses on, you can see it. So without it, then the subconscious mind will take all this in, so they will obey and they will get married and reproduce and they will do all these things that they're told to do.
And
Right.
stay asleep. And Aage, I know you're itching to use your favorite term. And what does that mean? It's the
Which one? I got about 400 of them.
the mind control, the mind created universe. Okay.
Oh, yeah, you bet. Well, yeah, they were all embedded in it.
So
So symbolically, the pastor of the church is blind. I loved the symbolism in the movie. I mean, there's tons of really deep symbolism in the movie. So
yeah, absolutely. There were so many little allegorical moments, and the speech that he says at the outset is worth noting. And so when you see stuff in the quote, truther community on Facebook and in social media about being woke, this is woke before woke was cool. You know, this is the whole thing. This is all about getting this message out that somehow there is an overriding signal that's being put into our consciousness. And he used the allegory of this radio signal of some kind, this being beamed into the community. And another piece of it too was if you wore the glasses too long, you'd get a headache from the awakening. So there's some shock value there, I guess.
yeah, it was interesting. They were also controlling people through the television sets.
Yeah, it was all the media, it was all the social media, consume, obey, reproduce, marry, stay asleep. You know, talk about being woke. This is a guy that was telling people what was happening 31 years ago. So it was very interesting to see a lot of what we think are now, people want to think of themselves as truthers and being all awoke. This guy was awoke, a long time ago. A lot of this, what we see in the common vernacular now in the quote truther community was well embedded into this movie. So if you're interested in anything like that, and really this guy was known for his horror movies, he wasn't really known for doing these kinds of movies at all.
Really?
Well, that's why this movie is so relevant. It was totally relevant back then, and lesser people knew about it. It's just as relevant today. Now more people know the truth behind the truth, and it'll probably be just as relevant in the future unless we are able to really wake up a bunch of people here to shake the pole, so all these people that think they're important come off the pole and down to where we are.
What do you guys think woke means? I mean, there's something about that word that, 30 years ago, I was at the Edgar Cayce Association for Research and Enlightenment, right? Because in the newsstand, during one of the scenes, there was a book there, right? It was Edgar Cayce on ESP. So woke, is like a common thread that like traveled with me through life. But what do you think, as you said, Tom, the common vernacular woke meaning is? What do you guys think people are thinking?
Well, it's an awareness of stepping back. It's another phrase I use is called being above the room. If you think of if you look at a stage where a play is being performed, and you get backstage and you get up into the catwalk where the showing typical movies where the sandbags are that hold the lights up and all that, and you're up on the catwalk and you're looking down on the room and you can see all the characters in the room of what's going on, and you've actually got a copy of the play in your hand and you know what the script is, and you look at the script and you can see it being played out. You're above the room and you're watching what's happening. You're not down in the room. You're up above it. You're in an awareness, a place of awareness above it. And not that you're better or worse or anything, but now your awareness has changed to where you're no longer just a kind of a character on the stage. Now you're above the room. Now you can kind of see your awareness has increased.
Right. That's a really good tool for people who are just awakening. Who That's a really good tool to use especially when you're in places where you normally would be reacting physically. Because if you are from the observer position, and you're really observing, right, then you don't have time to be afraid or to have social anxiety or whatever it is you might normally have in that setting. So that's a really great tool.
Well, I think go ahead, Augie.
Yeah, knowledge is power. See, when you're up on the catwalk and you have read this script, you know what's going to happen. You know what's going on. And there is probably several levels of woke, too. What you're seeing on the catwalk is what's on the stage. You may not quite know how did it come about, who created it, and why. That's another level of woke. That could be maybe a mental telepathy, which more and more people are getting now because of the raising of vibration. And then we have maybe a spiritual woke. And that could maybe encompass all of what is on the stage, why and how, and who's at the top directing it all. So when we're talking about total woke, that means all levels of consciousness in connection with what's going on the stage, and that gets interesting.
Yeah.
I think it goes from also being less being kind of like just being manipulated by what's going on around you and saying, okay, I know why that's happening. Oh, okay. It's an awareness that you no longer have to be a victim to it. That you now understand it, even though you may be victimized by it. You understand the greater or the higher concept. You may not be able to stop it. You may not be able to make it better initially, but at least now your awareness is there, and you can say, okay, wait a minute.
Better.
Yeah.
You prepare better because knowledge cures fear. So if you have the knowledge of what's going on, you don't have to fear what's going on there anymore, because you know that if there's any dangers in there, you can avoid it.
Yeah. And I this is coming up, so I'm just going to go with it. When I was attuned to second degree Reiki, it was either second or third degree. I don't remember. This was a while ago. My Reiki master, I tell you what, we call our teachers in, but man, I called like a really hard teacher in, and my Reiki master pushed me, and I wanted to be pushed because I was really passionate about what I was doing. But I have to tell you that scene about when Roddy has the glasses on and he's seeing people look differently, that happened. That happened to me. I went out into public soon after I was attuned, and my energy centers were like way open, and I saw things that scared me. It scared me. And he was like, "You had enough?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm good for today." And I had to, of course, go back and learn how to modulate opening my energy going forward. But those people kind of looked a little bit like the zombified people in that movie. I mean, not quite as dramatic, but definitely something out of the ordinary, where I go, what is the likelihood of everybody in the grocery store having this deformity? How could that possibly be? So,
I think you had this kind of a natural ability to see that. I don't have a problem saying this now. Many years ago, I had a psychedelic experience, and during that time, it was after that experience that I looked at people, and there was a weird discernment that kind of came to me. I could kind of look at people, and I could see differences and I don't know, I couldn't verbalize it. I couldn't
Yeah.
verbalize, but I just knew this guy. No, it's just, and I could see a spit, and I think maybe that's one of the reasons why the powers that be, are afraid of people getting into psychedelics on their own without supervision. They don't want people to have these moments where they can kind of tap into that higher awareness.
Yeah.
Right. So and that's exactly what happened for you. You opened an energy center that you convinced to open it. You know, you didn't
I didn't
just
even ask. I didn't
come
even ask
out of
for it. It
I
just
know,
happened.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
So cool. I mean, cool that you got a gift from that. You know, very cool. I mean, some people don't have that kind of experience, so that's really good. But and some people I'm hearing in the awakening community, you know, feel like psychedelics are like cheating. Like you should walk your path of awakening. But I was telling you about what I was seeing after my attunement because I wanted to highlight that awakening is different for every single person. I mean, I had an experience the other night where I asked for more. I just asked for more, and then all of a sudden I got a download and I got some information. I was like, whoa, whoa. So that took me to a new level, and I'm not really equalized there yet, but and that's how it goes for all of us, no matter what we subscribe to, no matter what modalities we subscribe to, no matter what religious beliefs we have. You know, awakening is happening across the world. Anybody in our chat room, Tom?
Absolutely. I was just looking at that. I want to say hello to. There's a D Wolf, Journey's Angel, a guy named Biney Guy. So we've got 9 people watching right now. Yay!
Shouties.
Yeah.
Yay, shout
So
out.
yeah. So we've got some people out there. Hello all, and glad we've got some watchers and listeners. If you got any questions, type them into the chat. Some great comments. Let me just mention. People are actually on board with what we're saying. That's great. This one
Yeah.
guy says, thanks for the Jordan Maxwell interview. That's been one of our most successful interviews lately. We're just amazed. There seems to be a great hunger for what he had to say. So we're happy that people are enjoying that. So yeah, this whole awakening thing, this whole woke thing is really and I think from what I understand, there are these higher energetic levels that are coming to the planet now because of the planet moving up through the galactic plane and from energy that's coming from the galactic core. This is science, and it's not just necessarily, you know, what you say, woo
Not
woo.
just theory anymore. It's proven now.
Yeah,
And what we've been talking about here, actually, this kind of awakening is that encompasses all the other things that we want, like disclosure of UFOs, disclosure of aliens, and who is the cabal. All this will come to the surface, and there will be a disclosure. And of course, those things, when it comes to the cabal, it's already there. If for those people that turn the TV off and get the news on the internet, then you know who they are. But when it comes to UFOs and aliens, I don't think there ever will be a government disclosure controlled by the US government. They're too corrupt for that. They're not going to do it.
well, that and
Don't,
they'd have to reveal way too much, and they would wind up basically convicting themselves of so much
yeah,
wrongdoing that they can't. I don't think they can.
yeah. I think the government of the United States is so corrupt they would rather kill every man, woman, and child in the country than admit to that they have done anything wrong.
Yeah,
And that's
well,
not me. That is a government official that told me that particular term.
yeah, I don't think that stance is going to hold a lot of water
Yeah,
as things unfold. Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
the best part about this is that what we've learned in the last several years about personal ET contact through the CE5 protocols and meditation, getting into dissociative states and opening up your conscious communication channels, your quantum communicator that's located right in the center of this thing right here, opening up your communicator that will allow you to communicate to any point in the universe without moving. We don't have to wait for disclosure. We can get disclosure
Exactly.
right here.
Exactly. Exactly. And as law of attraction, um, is still in play, it's the same thing. To the same degree that you raise your vibration, to the same degree you're going to get disclosure information that you're asking for. But you have to be ready for it. You know, I mean, I didn't see those people the way I saw them prior to my Reiki attunement because I was not ready for it. You know, and I did ask for it.
Well, you know, some very good teachers for us are animals.
Oh yeah.
They can sense these auras as well. And they, how many people have you ever met that said, "Oh yeah, my dog can always tell if somebody is cool or uncool," basically,
Absolutely.
or your cat can tell, or they run and hide, or they come out and play, or they want to go meet the stranger that you are a little unsure of, and all of a sudden your animal comes over and starts being friendly to them. They can
Right.
sense the auras, which is very, that's age old, you
They
know.
sense the energy, absolutely. And sometimes it's interesting because, right, you guys know Pixie's 4 pounds, right? But when we're walking at night, you know, Beanie's a little overweight, Pixie's 4 pounds, we're walking at night, and all of a sudden the hair will go up on Pixie's back, and she'll, you know, let out a really throaty kind of growl. And I'm like, okay, let's pay attention to that. I mean, I always pay attention to her.
Right. If we
Absolutely.
pay attention to our animals, they're trying to help us a lot of times. We're not listening. Uh, but there is, I heard, I don't know, Augie, maybe you have information on this, that there is a discussion within the community. I think it was Greg Braden maybe that was talking about this, how that, you know, when they talk about Neanderthals and some of the ancient races, that they were kind of like monkey men. But I read something or
Oh,
heard
yeah.
something that they weren't, that
No,
our ancestors were actually more psychically capable, more in tune with the way dogs get excited before an earthquake. That we had many of those same abilities in our ancient
yeah,
past.
our abilities in that area have, to a grand scale, been put asleep because back then they needed those abilities to feel the environment, feel the earth, feel the threats out there. And if you look at the skeleton or say the skull of some of the older humans, the Neanderthal had a bigger skull volume than Homo sapiens do. With other words, they had more brain capacity. With other words, they could be smarter than we are. And probably in their arena, they were.
They actually had more natural abilities because they
Yeah.
had. And in fact, if you think about it, if you look at a lot of the what is it, the Indian or native cultures that were in communication, quantum portals, you know,
Oh, yeah.
the Aborigines in Australia, all these different Aboriginal cultures, they seem to have more going on in consciousness than we are only now. Like we've discovered something and they were onto it, you know, thousands of years ago.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean, having, you know, having a big brain capacity and being conscious is two different things.
Yeah.
So, right? Because I mean, look at the capacity we have, and we're still working on waking up, right?
Right, but we've got a lot of dampening going on. We've had a dampening
Oh
going
yeah.
on with educational systems, with political systems, outright tyranny for thousands of years. That's only we think we're advanced and we're really not. You know.
Mhm.
Oh, there's one thing I do want to mention now, speaking of disclosure. It has happened. Two occasions that I know right up cannot be disputed, and that is probably 2 or 3 years ago. There was a president over in Russia, Medvedev. He was on camera. He told people that when I took the office, he says, I got this dossier, a file of UFO and alien information, and we read it, but we can't talk about it because we are afraid of the people's panic.
Yeah, why is there such a lock in people's minds waiting for a government okay or stamp of approval on disclosure? Why do
Yeah.
we have to stop thinking like this? That we're waiting on CNN, which everybody seems to really not like. But we're waiting on the media. We're waiting
It's
on
the
somebody.
narcissistic patriarchy. My God.
Yeah.
I mean, let's
Sociopathic.
keep
I think it's not just narcissistic. I think it's
let's keep this a
sociopathic.
secret. Yeah. Oh no, we can't trust how you're going to react to this.
Yeah. Total brainwash.
Yeah. Yeah. So we've had back to our original topic. Somebody asked, what's the topic about? Well, the topic's about soft disclosure that's been happening in our world for the past several decades. And somebody mentioned recently, he who has eyes to see, let him see. So it's
Exactly.
there. The information is there. So we just have to act on it. And I think what's really great is there seems to be more and more receptivity. There's less of the ridicule factor. People are more and more open. We're more and more open about a lot of things now that we used to be hush hush about. Like, what are the neighbors going to say? Well, guess what? Mention it to the neighbors and they go, oh, yeah, I love that program. I love that.
Mhm.
You know, you're going to find out if you actually start talking to people about your own insights about what's happening. You start talking to people that go, yeah, you know, something I actually had an interesting experience years ago, or my uncle or my aunt. People are more willing to talk about experiential knowledge and experiences that they've had than they
Yeah.
Mhm.
were.
All you have to do is to ask sometimes, and people will love to tell you about it.
Mhm.
But if we don't ask, we don't know.
Yeah, I think we're getting less and less social stigmas about this. And maybe
Yeah.
this is one of the good things about social media. I mean, you can join numerous groups on Facebook that are attuned to these topics, and it gets granular. You know, there's stuff specifically for star seeds. There's stuff specifically for consciousness, which we've actually got a couple. Nori, you head up a couple groups. There's stuff specifically for ufology. There's stuff specifically about political activism. So people are waking up. The world is waking up. So it's really, I think these are exciting times.
It's very
I'm
exciting.
excited.
In fact, also, you may not know this because I think it just happened 2 days ago. Senator Reid in Washington said that I want to start a congressional investigation of UFOs.
Yay.
Wow. You know, he is
Yeah,
retired now, but in this guy, I didn't like the guy when he was a
no, I don't
congressman.
either. But
Yeah,
hey,
hey, if he's, you know, okay, you know,
yeah,
one more, one more mark for the idea, I guess. Yeah, and
I think he's not running for anything this coming season, so maybe now he can actually do this and get away with it.
isn't it amazing what we will say and do when we have nothing to lose?
Yeah,
And this is part of the problem of the big treadmill of the work, the 40-hour work week, keeping people in the slave economy, which was one of the phrases used in the movie we were talking
Yeah.
about tonight. They live the slave economy. It keeps you silent. You don't want to lose your paycheck. You don't want to lose all that you've gained. And so this fear of losing is what keeps people compliant. And I think people are kind of getting fed up with it.
yeah.
People are absolutely getting fed up with it because the inner qualities of who we came to be is more important than the things that we were spoon fed to believe in, right? Like you've got to go to school and then you've got to go to college and then you've got to get married and right. So
Well, our baselines were all contaminated with a lot of false information. The baselines, you wake up in a human body. I think that was Peter Moon we talked to this past week or so ago. Mentioned that you wake up in a human body and there's a certain set of baselines that you are subjected to. And then hopefully at some point along the way, you are given the right information and you grow up to be a sentient being who's aware of consciousness. And has that happened to all of us? No. It has taken a longer journey than probably should have taken for all of us to kind of wake up when it should have been inherent in our society a long time ago. But our social systems have been pirated or co opted by the cabal. And so these overriding influences, like that antenna in They Live, have kept people in these states. And so we've got to fight to get out of this. We've got to fight to get what we want next, to get to where we want
fight,
to be.
fight. That doesn't sound like the right vibration.
Well, you've got to want it.
But
It's a wanting or a desire, I think.
yeah,
Not just a
I,
passive, you know, that's a nice idea, Tom. That's really cool. I think
yeah.
people need to really, as I see on the reason, do the research, you know.
desire. Absolutely.
But
You
then
have
we got this saying again. We do not need to outfight them; we outthink them.
Hmm.
That's where we're gonna win.
Absolutely. I agree. Well,
fascinating.
looks like we're getting a little bit more activity in the chat room. Hello, Nancy. It's good to see you.
Hey,
And
Nancy.
she's
Hey.
here. So, Yeah, we're unfortunately we got delayed a little bit tonight because of technical issues, so we're not going to be able to run as late tonight. So we really appreciate everybody coming by. Um, this is one of our favorite topics. This whole area of disclosure and the soft disclosure that's going on around us. You know, the last couple of weeks we've been dealing with modern science fiction. Tonight was a little bit more a retro bump back to
Hmm.
something that's been going on a long time. But you know, it wasn't just They Live, which came out in '88. I mean, I grew up watching Star Trek. You know, that was my kind of a grooming when I was 16, 17 years old. That was like, you know, couldn't miss it. You know, and you know, another, there were other programs out at the time too. Another program that had, I think, a lot to do with causing some thought change was Monty Python. It wasn't science fiction, but
True.
it was a rattling of the concepts. It was a
Yeah,
mocking of some of that. You know,
that was so stupid that it was funny.
it was, but they were
It
poking
made you
their
think.
finger in the eye of a lot of the things that we now,
Exactly.
you know, it was a big poke in the eye with a lot of intellect and intelligence and humor. So a lot of people never got it, and they're like, "What the hell is this?" You know. But we enjoyed the comedy, and it. There are so many seeds from those kinds of programs like that that stayed with me, and I think they've germinated and they grow. You know.
Yeah.
A lot of the stupid stunts that they did, there was actually some really serious things behind it, like Cleese's secret handshake. Remember that
Yes.
scene?
Yes.
Fell over on the street just trying to do that, but there is a secret handshake.
Yes,
And
he
he
remember
brought it
the
up.
he did the one called The Architect where he comes in and he's interviewing for a job as an architect, and it's an yeah, what did he call it? It was like a German concentration camp. He says, well, first the people walked past the rotating knives, and it was an abattoir. Okay, and these people that are interviewing were like, what? But it was the silly concepts that made you stop and think about everything that you're just kind of being dumped on constantly. It was, you know, gave you the moment to think. So these soft disclosures have been out there for a while and worth looking at. They got in big trouble for Life of Brian, which mocked religion.
Mm.
They got huge trouble for that. That was major
Yeah.
controversy. So another good
Hmm.
movie to go watch. I should watch that again at some point. And
So the movie, the formal title of the movie is They Live.
They Live with
They Live.
They Live. So
Yeah,
definitely required reading for all you woke folks.
absolutely.
New hope
Or
for the newly
Awakening.
awake. Yeah, new hope for the newly awakened. I say. So,
New hope for the newly awakened.
well, there's Val. He just
Kind of
stopped in
catchy.
there. Hello, Val. Good to see him. Yeah, him, her, whoever. So, yeah, that's great.
Cool.
That's great. So yeah, so somebody mentioned the lumberjack song. That's yeah, that was a great
Yeah.
one. Yeah, how can you forget? Some of those were so iconic. They were as good as
Oh,
anything Madison Avenue came up with. They were
yeah, that's
hilarious.
so classic.
Yeah, yeah, we enjoyed them. So yeah, absolutely. So soft disclosures all around us. And what's interesting is it's now gone beyond the cheesy plywood of Star Trek One to cinematic. You're getting cinematic disclosure now. You know, with Star Trek, the Orville, and all these other, and Project Blue Book, which people, you know, serious truthers don't think it's really worth watching. But actually, there's some elements to it that you know you can watch the dramas and learn a little along the way, and feed into some of this. There's a bunch of other great shows out there you can dig up on the net that are causing people to think. What is it, Black Mirror, and some of these other shows that are causing people to stop just accepting what's out there and think a little bit deeper. You know,
What is that? Black Bear? What is
no,
it?
Black Mirror.
Black Mirror.
Black
Oh,
Mirror.
okay.
Yeah, I think I've seen a couple episodes, and it's interesting. In fact, one I think if it wasn't Black Mirror, it was another one where they talked about earning social media points out in public, and if you didn't earn the points, your credit score would go down. And if you did something embarrassing, oh, you'd lose some points. And so they're doing this in China.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
if your social scores go down out in public, if you do something embarrassing, DUI, oh, that affects your credit score. It affects your ability to get work. So there was some of these programs are throwing out some of these things in front of us.
Oh, beam me up.
Yeah.
Just beam me up.
I've been trying to get a ride out for some time.
Oh,
Yeah.
So
yeah. Wow.
Well, we're on the top of the hour,
Right.
and we ran out of we got cut short a little bit. So
Sorry, guys.
yeah,
Yeah.
we wanted to go a little bit longer, but we're happy you all came out.
Thank
And
you.
if there's anything else you want to know about, be sure to reach us at broadcastteamalpha.com. There's a contact page, Gmail, broadcastteamalpha@gmail.com. That's easy enough. Or you know, you can get a hold of us that way. Leave comments on the videos. We've got a bunch of great interviews that uh, take a look at our channel. There's some great interviews there.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Russell Targ, the remote viewing,
Yeah.
Peter Moon talking about the pyramids in Bulgaria. We've got some great stuff out there. And, you know, if we haven't reached you with it, dig around on our channel. There's some great stuff there. So,
Hmm.
Cool.
so
It's the Sunday show on Wednesday night.
alrighty. So with that, it's 9 o'clock here on the East Coast, and I guess it's we're going to say goodbye. You guys got anything else you want to throw out there, Aage or Nori?
Good.
No, we'll save it till next time.
Okay, we will see you guys next week with a brand new show, and we've got some more interviews coming. So stay tuned to the channel. We got some more good stuff coming. By the way, I'll give you a little preview. We have a very special presentation coming up about the Delaware camera. Aage, can you give them a little preview on that before we go?
Oh, yes. There actually was and still is a camera that could take pictures of the past and the future.
So cool.
With
And we're going
evidence.
to cover that.
Evidence.
A good friend of ours has researched this. In fact, he worked on the camera. And that was back in the late 1970s. And he worked on the camera. He saw it working. So this is going to be interesting. It's called, if you want to research a little bit on your own, the Delaware camera. So yeah, this is real. And we're going to show some pictures that was actually taken over actually a fourth dimensional picture. Now
Right.
that's a picture that has time in it. With other words, you see a picture of an object at this time, see it next, and developed in time. So this is going to be interesting.
Yeah, so that'll be coming out in the next, probably the next week or so. It's going to take some
Yep.
time. The guy that's doing the research, Dan Willis, he's putting it all together right now. We actually were just going to do an interview about it. And we said, no. We want to get the information. This guy's got some fascinating information on this. So we're definitely going to have a very good interview with him about it. And he's going to have it up on his channel here in the next week or so. So definitely worth your while. So until then, stay tuned for that. It's going to get better. We got more stuff coming, and we will see you next week. So
All right.
Take care, everybody.